And welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of TECSpertz. We are back in action, and we are glad to be. We have the usual crew here, Markayla, Anthony, Max, and Brennan. We got the whole crew for you, and we are ready to rumble here for another episode of TECSpertz. I want to remind you all that TECSpertz is sponsored by the Big Vape Theory and East Carolina University's Office of Undergraduate Research, as well as TECSpertz is a collaboration between WZMB and the East Carolinian. Well, let's get right down to business, shall we? ECU football, bowl game, what could have been, what would have been, now out the window. Unfortunately, did not have a bowl game in Annapolis against Boston College after, lots of reports of, some COVID difficulties with Boston College. Wasn't able to make it happen. Many fans in this town and fans of ECU very disappointed in the news that had happened. And I tell you what, we really wish that would have happened because we were looking forward to this one.
Yeah, after a 7-5 season, it would have been nice to get that 8th win on there just to kind of cap off a great season from the ECU Pirates. It's unfortunate we weren't able to go up in there and, show them up in Minneapolis what ECU is made of. But I think next year we're going to be looking for the stock to rise a little bit on ECU football. We'll see how that plans out with, we have a couple of people going to the draft who declared the other day. But I'm pretty excited for the future.
Yeah, I got to agree. I think looking at it, I've been saying it recently, I think ECU athletics as a whole is on the up and up, specifically football. I mean, you got to look at it. A couple seasons ago, we did not get that many wins as we would have liked to. And at the beginning of the year, they said, I still remember watching that video, 6 wins is our goal. And I was sitting back. I was at home at the time, and I was like, no way. Mm-hmm. I truly didn't believe that we're going to be able to get 6 wins. And then coming out, the first, spark of hope that I saw was in that South Carolina game with that first play of the game that, double pass or shovel pass over to Snead, and Snead threw the long ball. And then obviously not able to finish that game, but then going on a 3-game win streak the first time in several years, and then not only going on a 3-game win streak this season, but going on a 4-game win streak. So really showing some grit, showing some determination down the stretch. So against some really good teams, and in my opinion, we only had 2 bad losses this year. We only had a bad loss versus App State and a bad loss versus Cincinnati. Both games we were expected to lose.
And UCF, I want to put in there as well. I think UCF is a game we should have won as well.
I agree. UCF and Houston were games that we should have won. Especially when you're getting that close. And in the Houston game, we had the momentum going in.
Yeah.
Or going into the back half of the game. UCF, we had the lead going into the end.
They didn't have their quarterback.
Didn't have the quarterback.
Should have
capitalized there. But overall, for a year that we didn't think they were going to get 6 wins, and they come out and get 7, and they get a bowl win. They play a very tough game versus Memphis to become bowl eligible.
Yeah.
They came out and slaughtered Tulane at home. Really gave it to Temple. A lot of really good moments there. Obviously, not some great moments. Great moments, not so great moments. But overall, it's on the up and up. The defense played phenomenally this year. I mean, that's the big takeaway this year. And then, as I said before the podcast, before we started jumping on, is I've actually seen Holton Ahlers grow and mature as a quarterback through the beginning of the year. There used to be times where Holton Ahlers, in my opinion, always has the potential to drop 200 to 300 passing yards. But then you'll be looking at 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. As he's been going on, making better reads, lowering that interceptions, and being able to find his guys down the field. Obviously getting comfortable with certain receivers like Tyler Snead in the slot, but really able to work it around to Ryan Jones at the tight end position, C.J. Johnson over on the edge, as well as Omatosha. So just a lot of growth this season. So I am really excited to see what we do next year. I do. Now that they got those 7 wins, I do expect to repeat at least 6 wins. You can't digress now. You got the momentum going forward. Mike Houston's established himself, and you got to get rolling.
I think the program as a whole is growing, and I know us as fans were upset that it didn't happen, but these guys are out there. They missed Christmas just for the game to get canceled 24 hours before. I think it's ridiculous that the NCAA can't get another team that's eligible to get out there or reschedule it for another time. Why does it have to get canceled altogether? But like you said, I think the team grew. At first we were saying there's no way we can get 6 wins, but now we're saying for next season there's no way we cannot get 6 wins.
Right.
So I think of like Ehlers, we saw Mitchell in there, we saw Rajay in there, we saw C.J. Jones. Everyone just getting out there. C.J. Johnson, sorry. Everyone just getting out there, really growing. So I think we have like you said, a really good potential for next year.
In my opinion, played a lot more as a cohesive unit this year as they have in years past, where they used to rely on Holton Ehlers getting that deep ball to C.J. Johnson or to Tyler Snead. But now, like, we used to talk about ECU's football being, Holton Ehlers and the offense, but now it's, the defense has really
The defense
been
is the key now. Yeah, they got a young defense now. Very exciting.
A young defense that isn't playing like it. So they're running around the field making a lot of big plays and, obviously going to be losing their leader in Jaquan McMillan this year. Best of luck to him, but
we'll get into that here in a minute. Yeah,
we will get into that here in a minute. But I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, a lot of potential on the defensive and offensive side of the ball, for that matter.
And it stinks because a lot of fans made the trip to Annapolis to see this game.
Yeah,
a lot of fans, both of ECU football, family members, and just regular fans of ECU. I know a lot of people that actually went up there, had a good time in Annapolis, even though there was no bowl game. But still stinks. They made that 5-6 hour drive up.
Yeah.
For not much to see anyway.
Still
not
beneficial
actually,
for the town of Annapolis. That's for
yes,
sure.
that is 100% for sure. So now with news with some draftees going into declaring for the NFL draft, Tyler Snead and of course Jaquan McMillan. What do we think here now? Because we're losing two key pieces here, one on the defensive side, one on the offensive side of the ball. Snead keeping the ball rolling, kind of old reliable, spark plug on the offense in the slot, and now obviously our key corner on the defensive side.
Right. I know we were talking about kind of the rise of ECU as far as athletics and the football program as a whole, but I think it is hard to make that a solid prediction when you're losing the number one receiver on offense and your number one corner on defense. It's very hard, and we were talking about Holton too, and how he's been on the rise as well. But when you take away that number one option, I want to see what is Holton going to be able to do. Like, are you going to be able to force somebody else to be that number one option, or is it going to happen naturally for someone that you can create chemistry with? Because losing Tyler Snead, you're losing your 5-yard ends, your 10-yard ends, your quick routes that opened up the field for people like C.J. Johnson and, a tight end, Ryan Jones, people like that. It'll just be very interesting. And as far as the defense I'm worried a little bit less about, because I feel like as a unit our defense is strong, not just we're one corner and we're a great defense. But I think losing a leader will hurt it a little bit, but I think the defense will be able to bounce back. That offense, though, I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I think we're also lucky that at the end of the season, Ehlers was spreading out the receiving yards with a bunch of other different people other than just Snead. So he had a lot more yards at the beginning of the season than the end. So I think that shows that, yes, he was amazing. He helped us out a lot, but he's not our only option.
Right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you guys said, especially you over here, Brennan. I mean, with offense, the thing is losing a guy, you at least with defense, the offense we were facing started to keep the ball away from Jaquan McMillan as much as they could. Mm-hmm. And we can get away with putting a guy out there and they'll target him, but if he can hold his ground just like the unit is, I'm not that worried about the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
As you said. The thing with offense, though, is that if we, lose Tyler Snead but don't find a guy in the slot to get that 5-yard, slant out the middle, we're never going to be able to open up that shot for C.J. Johnson. Because we were talking before the podcast, and, we got some big deep threats. C.J. Johnson, Omatosho, Ryan Jones great down the middle of the field, but a little bit deeper. But now we're missing that guy that's going to be able to run those 5-yard slants, those comeback routes down the middle of the field, and open up those. So if we don't find a guy there, we're just losing a guy on offense, a guy to open up those plays, and that's not going to be the move. But at the end of the day, the same goes for all athletics. Someone's got to step up.
Right.
I don't know who that is, but if someone doesn't step up, that's going to be the problem. It doesn't matter who is stepping up, but someone's got to step up and fill those shoes, which are big shoes on both sides of the ball.
All right. It's going to be very interesting to expect a lot out of this football team next year after what we just expected from them this year.
Right.
After losing two players like that, because we haven't spent a lot of seasons, expecting great things from the football program come the fall. We haven't been excited for, ECU to come out and have a winning season in the fall. So if we have a chance to do something like that like we did this year, I'm very excited to see the progression of this football program.
That's a great point. I mean, we haven't been like, oh, they need, they're gonna come out and show us something big in a while. But this year we're expecting that. But in my opinion, losing these two guys, we still can't hold them. Oh, if they have a bad year, this is why.
Right.
We can't make excuses with that being the
Our ideology has kind of changed, right?
yeah, I mean, now
So-
you have to expect what you're capable of. And we're capable of a 7-8 win team.
Yeah.
Arguably, I think, you play better versus UCF down the stretch and you give it to Houston, that's a 9-win season. I think realistically we could have had 9 wins. Obviously you fall short here and there, but after the outcomes and seeing how we lost certain games, had we changed a few things here and there, that's 9 wins.
Just got to build off the progression that we've made.
Absolutely.
I feel
You
like,
can't-
you know what, you just got
I
to
don't
keep
think you can use these hits as an excuse. You got to keep
loading up
moving
the bricks.
Got to keep moving it
Yeah,
forward.
no doubt about it.
Someone's got to step up.
You said loaded up, but like we said, we lost a lot of seniors. We're losing Snead and now McMillan, but we also have a lot of new people coming in from transfers to freshmen. So I think it's just going to be a good year next season, but it's just going to be different. We're just going to see different people, see new names, and it's just going to be something to look forward to.
Well, there you go. That pretty much wraps up football for us here. We had quite the season for ECU football, and again, looking forward to the future for definitely next season, and we'll just have to see how things unravel with that. In other news, in athletics with ECU, we have the ECU men's basketball currently in action right now against UCF. Fingers crossed and knock on wood. 10-0 at home at Minji's Coliseum. Hope to continue that. A few days ago, they had a big win, buzzer beater win against Memphis. And, oh, boy, was Minji's going crazy. This was a big win for ECU basketball, and the fans were going crazy.
71-72, the final. On a buzzer beater on a 1-second shot. ECU being down by 20 at one point during the game. Court was stormed. Fans were going crazy. This is exactly what ECU basketball needs.
Yeah, and let me tell you, this town was buzzing over that, and obviously great news because another thing, too, with ECU basketball, another area of athletics that's kind of been, kind of mediocre, and not really at that high level of stardom. But I tell you, they've been playing very well. Got to give them credit where credit is due.
It feels like they've been coming up with not just this one buzzer beater, but I swear they've had, like 2, 3 already this season. I'm impressed by their ability to win close games, late, which always seems to be, especially when I look at basketball, it's these teams that, they're losing by 5 points, they're losing by 3 points, losing by 2 points. And, even if you're winning 71-72 on a sketchy buzzer beater, that's still a win.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to get those close wins because you're not going to win every game by 10. You're not going to win every game by 20. But you're going to have to, the good teams the good and great teams are separated by the teams that are able to win those close games.
And one thing about them, all their games are exciting. We haven't had like a bunch of blowout losses, a bunch of blowout wins. They're all just like
they know
10, 15 points or something, either coming back or falling back behind. But I think it's really exciting, especially that Memphis one. Who thought that was going to happen at 1 second left?
Yeah.
We were all just kind of like, well, we got it next time, and then Suggs comes in there. But now we got to go to Memphis next time, and they have expectations. Now we're going to be on their home court, so that's going to be a game to watch for sure.
Yeah, this year, looking through the, our largest point deficit in a loss is only 10 points.
Right.
So they've all been tight, close games.
All been tight, close
Down
games.
to the wire, you're biting your nails, you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah,
you see what's going on.
It's exciting, but it's also like, okay, guys.
Wouldn't you give me a 20-point win here?
Yeah.
There, but they definitely know how to hang in there, and they didn't know how to fight out the nitty-gritty. But my favorite thing is that, ECU basketball definitely had a big test coming in with this Memphis team because Memphis was not happy with us for what we did to them in football. And their fans, specifically.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Wait till basketball. So,
gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that mentality of kind of next man up has been really implemented in this basketball team as they've moved into this season. We've lost Jaden Gardner. He transferred to Virginia last year. And it seems like other than not missing a beat, this ECU team has almost improved from what we've seen.
Yeah,
this record that we're looking at, 11-5, is better than what we had last season, and
at the end of the last season.
At the end of last season, better than we had the season before that. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, the next man up mentality of we brought in these transfers, we brought in these new guys, and they're the ones putting up 17, 14 points a game to help us beat teams like Memphis, to help us go, we got to go play Houston this weekend. We're going to need help with that. It's just, I feel like we have a very well-rounded basketball team right now. Credit to Joe Dooley, sticking it out with this team for as long as he has, and it's just been growing ever since. And I think losing Jaden Gardner and being able to turn this around as fast as we have and to make waves in the conference, which is something that ECU basketball has not been able to do for years, is make waves in the conference. I think that's just something to be said about that, and I'm excited for the rest of the season, really.
I think him leaving made everyone else think to themselves, well, I got to step up now.
Right.
I got to be the number one. We got like 5 players in triple-digit points already,
Right.
with Tristan Newton with 277 already. And I just think, like, at the beginning of the season, we were like, well, we got all these non-conference wins, but when conference comes in, it's going to be crazy. But they're proving themselves. They're proving us wrong, which I love.
That's a great point you guys bring up, because last season we went about 8-1 to start the season and 1-8 to finish the season.
That's right.
Like, it was looking very good, but we've always struggled in conference. You know, and Jaden Gardner obviously being our big-time scorer last year, he was our guy last year. I remember after we found out that Jaden was, going, I was talking to a bunch of other people, and they said, we're already writing off EC basketball. But now, like you said, this next man up mentality, this, hey, someone gets hurt, someone transfers, someone's out, it doesn't matter. We don't have a star on the team, we have a team, that are all going to go out there. We got guys putting up triple digits, with the 3 of them, obviously Newton coming out and balling for us. But it's that next man up mentality that is powering this ECU team in a way that no one would have expected.
And you know what? They're having fun on the court, too.
Right.
They're having fun on the court.
You could tell there's good chemistry.
You can say they love playing with each other, which is the key here. Obviously, we have UCF coming up, and then we're away at Houston. And I think ECU's got a little bit of an edge going into this Houston game. I think Houston, obviously the favorite team, but ECU doesn't want to lose, given that they had beaten them last year.
They got all the eyes on them.
They got all the eyes on
Definitely.
them. They're making waves in the conference. They're making waves in Sports Center. Like, people are finally talking about ECU basketball. And they want to make sure that, they have to get a lot of these wins if they want to make that tournament, just based off our history, based off the seeding, based off the conference. Like, they got to show up, and they're showing up.
These guys are tired of being looked over, and they're proving that to us now.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, now we got to finish this game. Hopefully get the win against UCF that's currently in action as we speak. And another reminder for everybody, I just want to let you know that TECSpertz is sponsored by the Big Vape Theory and East Carolina University's Office of Undergraduate Research, and to let you know that TECSpertz is a collaboration between WZMB and the East Carolinian. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we have just wrapped up and completed this episode of TECSpertz. Thank you all for watching and listening. Be back and join us next time. We'll see you then. Markayla, Anthony, Max, and Brennan signing off.